I'm Steve Pulaski. Over the last 7 decades, you've seen him in dozens of movies, TV shows, and even video games, too. Whether it's his iconic performance in A Clockwork Orange or his terrifying turn as Dr. Loomis in Rob Zombie's Halloween movies, he's a Renaissance man seemingly unafraid of any role. He's currently a recurring presence on the CBC show Son of a Critch, which is in the middle of its 3rd season and streaming on the CW. He's the inimitable Malcolm McDowell. How are we today, Malcolm?
I'm very well. Nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Very nice to talk to you, Malcolm. Son of a Critch is a Canadian production, so some of us here in America might not be super familiar with it. What is the show all about, Malcolm?
It's really, a coming-of-age boy of 12. We follow his life and his family and school, and he's growing up in St. John's, Newfoundland in the 80s. And, of course, it's based on Mark Critch, is our editor and producer and writer. He wrote a memoir of his growing up in Newfoundland, and it became a bestseller in Canada. And so, of course, they decided to make a TV series out of it, and they put a terrific cast together. I think it's just wonderful writing, and that's why I got involved in it. My manager somehow was sent 4 scripts. I read them. I picked up the phone and said, I want to do this. And, I don't want to be first in, last out anymore. I just let the young ones do that. But I like to come in, do 3 little scenes and, have some fun. And there was such a wonderful cast, and everything about it I love. And I've been doing it now. Well, if we go this summer, which looks like it'll be our 4th year. So it's really amazing, right through the pandemic and everything.
Did you read Mark Critch's book? What drew you into the production? Did you connect with the story, the script? What really lured you in, Malcolm?
I was doing a show in England, an Amazon series called Truth Seekers, which is actually only had 1 season, but it's really rather good. And the same casting director just thought that I may like to do this. And she was absolutely right. And they said to Mark, we're sending it to Malcolm McDowell. And he said, he'll never do it. Get real. Let's just concentrate on people that we can get. And she said, no, if he likes it, he'll do it. And sure enough, I read the 4 scripts. I absolutely loved them. I went and got his book, and I read the book, and I just thought, I'm not really in the book so much. And then Pop, the grandfather, is really an amalgam of different people. So I'm one of the few that's actually not playing a real person, but it doesn't really matter, In fact, it's rather better because you can get into all kinds of things. I mean, they don't have to be, real. You can just make them up. And he's such a great character, really. And so that he shares a room with a 12-year-old kid, who his grandson. And they have this amazing relationship. And, I'm sort of like his Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of thing, giving him advice. And I must say, often the advice is really terrible. And it causes all kinds of complications. But it's just about really family and how, in the end, there's nothing like family, It's a comedy, so there's trials and tribulations, the whole thing. And, of course, him going to school, he goes to a Catholic school with nuns. One of them straps them, and the kids, and they're terrified. But it's wonderful, too. And it's such an incredible place, St. John's, Newfoundland. I would probably never, ever go there except for this. So I'm thrilled that I can go there, and because it's one of the most extraordinary places on the planet.
He is Malcolm McDowell, again, Son of a Critch, streaming on the CW. You can catch it over there. A few questions just about you and your career, Malcolm. A lot of stuff I'm really interested in. A Clockwork Orange is still such a beloved movie. Paint me the picture of a young actor working on one of his first movies, shooting that movie. What was it like?
Well, now, I didn't know this, but I learned later that Stanley had seen my first movie called If, about a revolution in a boys' school, a boarding school. And Stanley had seen the movie like 4 times, and Stanley Kubrick, his widow, told me that he saw it 4 times. He looked at Christiane and he said, "We found our Alex." Now, I didn't know any of this. I was just asked to go and meet with him, which I did, of course. he gave me this book, and he said, read it and call me. And I read it 3 times before I called him. It took me a week. I think he thought I was going to call the next day, you know. I really wanted to make sure, and of course, it was extraordinary. What an extraordinary book. When I first read it, I was a bit confused with the language and stuff, and I was always having to refer back to the glossary at the back. But after the second read, I thought, what a monumental masterpiece this book is. And then on the third read, I realized what a great part it was. And I called Stanley, and that was it. I got to know him very well, of course, went out to his house a lot. He lived in the suburbs of London. I lived in the center in Notting Hill Gate, so I'd have to drive out there. But, you know, it was really a lot of fun. He was living out in Boreham Wood then, which was close to where the studio, and the old MGM studios, which is where he made 2001, A Space Odyssey. And that was a masterpiece, of course. Kubrick was, in my mind, one of the greatest directors that ever lived. And the reason I say that is because he made masterpieces in every single kind of genre. It wasn't just, you know, he made westerns, or he made this or that, or suspense things, or comedies. He did it all. And you know, he made arguably some of the best movies that have ever been made. Tremendous, incredible. It was like working, well, when he was 47 when I worked with him. So he was more than 20 years older than me. And I knew that I was in the presence of somebody very special. His intellect was extraordinary. You know, he was a grandmaster at chess, and a very quiet man, but a very, very, frighteningly smart. There was nothing he didn't know. I mean, all the technical stuff he was so brilliant at. Christiana, his widow now, told me that the whole end of 2001, the black hole, the whole implosion of the galaxy going down the black hole, and the whole, you know, the end of whatever, was shot on her kitchen stove. Now, that blew my mind away. I went, what? So what he did was he had a big pan with 2 inches of boiling water, simmering, steaming. He brought the camera from above right down over the steam, and then with droppers of colored glycerine would drop little drops into it, and it would swirl in the boiling, simmering water. And that's how he did it. I mean, that's a certain kind of genius to figure that out. You know, how incredible that is. And that was Stanley. He thought of, you know, he invented the Steadicam. There's so many things. I think I was the first actor to use radio mics in a drama. They'd been used, in sports. But we did this whole scene on a very busy street in London, and right by the river. And I wore this radio mic, which they put on, and it's the first time they used it, you know, and it was a German one, a Sennheiser or something. And it was perfect. Not one line of dialogue did I have to redo in Clockwork Orange.
And so much information right there, Malcolm. Really grateful for your time, too. I'm going to give you the floor to promote Son of a Critch or anything else that you want to talk about. The floor is yours, Malcolm.
Well, I think CW have picked up this wonderful show, which is a coming-of-age show, and I love it. It's a gentle comedy. It's not a ha-ha-ha, but it's a smile. You sit there with a smile on your face, and you just cannot believe some of the crap that comes out of this family. But I love it, and I think people are starting to find it now, and it's getting quite popular, I think. So I'm really pleased. I did a movie with a 93-year-old actress playing the lead, June Squibb, and it's called Thelma, and you should watch out for it because she's absolutely amazing.
Cannot wait for that one.
And, yeah, it went to Sundance, got incredible reviews, so it will come out, and I played the sort of fun-heavy in that, and I really enjoyed it. But I love working for her, and it's Richard Roundtree's last performance before he passed away, a very, very nice man. You may remember that he played Shaft, you know, all those years ago. So he's part of cinema history, too. I've got a couple. I got a Western that's coming out with Bill Paxton's son, James, who's a wonderful young actor, and I'm very proud of James. And it's really a buddy picture between him and I. And that'll be coming out soon. It's called Last Train to Fortune. I just never stop. And I'm in the middle of shooting a vampire movie about Lord Byron. And we're shooting that at Twickenham in London, where the Beatles did that documentary. You remember the Peter Jackson documentary?
Yes, I do.
That was it shot. That was in London, Twickenham Studios.
You never stop working, Malcolm. We will never stop watching. Congratulations on all your success. Cannot wait to check out Son of a Critch. I greatly appreciate your time.